good morning. I am about to attack the last, like, what, 60, 50 essays to mark out of, what, 200, and yeah, I have not paced myself very well, and so it's gonna be a lot of coffee. And yes, this is one of those Starbucks mugs that are not for sale. I did not steal it from Starbucks. I stole it from a former flatmate who stole it from Starbucks, and I wasn't even intending on stealing it. I was simply drinking tea out of it, and then when my flatmate aggressively left a note in the kitchen saying, "Who stole my mug?" I stole it. Anyway, I am about to have a bit of a late breakfast because I kind of procrastinated a little bit. So I cast on another sock because I finished some socks yesterday. I'll get to that. But yeah, look at that. Isn't that festive? I think that's festive. I know, with the self-striping vanilla socks, I don't know. There's still a part of me that thinks I can catch up with a box of socks, which is completely ridiculous. But it's a nice experience, and yeah, this is Critium hand-dyed yarn. Is it Critium hand-dyed maybe? I have lost count of how many times I've cast this on because I just couldn't get it right. First I did it and it was a very tight cast on. I couldn't get it over my heel. Or 60 stitches with the twisted cast on. You'd think that'd be okay, but it was not. So I tried again and again and again, and eventually I cast on 72 stitches with a fairly looser handle, just purposely, and from that it's actually worked out pretty well. And then I just decreased the extra 12 stitches after the rib, and now I need to work instead of knitting, which is a bummer. But I can show you the socks I finished last night because it is the Time Traveler colorway socks. Haven't woven in the ends because you guys know me, just weaving in ends. Who does that? Weaving in ends is for overachievers. And yeah, about to have breakfast, and I think given that you guys seemed interested to know about Norwegian food, we are just king and queens of canned seafood in Norway. We actually do it pretty well. It's not that disgusting as it may or may not sound. So I'm gonna have some mackerel. This is the best stuff ever. It's mackerel and tomato puree, and yes, I know that they have that in the UK, yet I stock up on this from Norway because but it just doesn't taste the same here. It's tomato sauce rather than tomato puree. It's not as sweet. I don't think the fish tastes that nice. I'm sorry. It's coming from the same sea, so I don't know why I'm being so ridiculous. But yeah, I love this stuff. I'm gonna have it on my last bap from Rob's the bakery in Essex Road, which is nearly, which I told you about earlier. And also some treats for later today, which I thought I'd cover because I got some Christmas treats. This stuff, guys. Norwegian Christmas marzipan. I found nothing in the UK that could in any way replace this for me. So I have had this one and this, which is just a different take on it. A bit more of the adult take, I guess. The other ones are a bit more novelty shaped, shall we say. I bought those when I was in Oslo, so I was ready. Because they sell them a bit early. I think they sell them too early, but this time around I actually had to buy them too early because otherwise I wouldn't have them here right now. Probably won't eat them right away because you should probably just start with breakfast. Although I'm an adult now and I can do what I want. And also, this is a Swedish treat. Gingerbread. They call them ginger thins, but this is what we call pepperkakor in Norway and something similar in Sweden. They're different if they're store-bought than if they're baked, and that's just kind of a thing that we've come to accept. It's pepperkakor that's from the store. They're thinner and taste different, and then there's pepperkakor that you bake yourself, and they're a bit thicker and sort of more rich. I prefer those, but these are a excellent substitution when I don't have the baked stuff here, because I will be baking that when I go to Norway, and I hope I will be able to take you part in that process as well. But seriously, I need to stop procrastinating now and get on with the marking, because I'm in trouble if I don't finish this in time, and the turnaround date is on Monday, so, and I have weekend plans, and my supervisor wants to look at this on Sunday. I'm still marking. It's quite a lot later in the afternoon now, and I am tired of marking so much. I really hope I'll finish in time, but anyway, I thought I would take a break and talk to you guys, because I'm feeling a bit upset as well, so I thought if I did I might feel a bit better. So what I thought I would talk to you about is my CV. yeah, I don't know how you feel about that, but I thought I'd generally talk about my work and education background. So I don't know, maybe some of you are like curious about where I'm coming from before, or except from knitting. So I have I've gone to school, obviously. I did the 10 years of obligatory public schools that most Norwegians do, and after that you can apply to a third public school, which is kind of like upper secondary, and there are different strands of study that you can take. Then you can take a more sort of professional oriented strand where you can take maybe a health and nursing direction, or a arts and crafts direction, electronic to kind of, you know, pave the way for being an engineer of sorts, or a building construction, same. Or as me, I took the media and communication approach, which is nice because it's I'll get to that, but there's also this general approach, which is just kind of giving you the basic foundation for higher education, plus a couple of extra modules as well, or subjects if you will. So I could have chosen that, given I was going to take higher education, but I chose media and communication. The main reason being that you get to play around with computers, and 10 years ago, like, having a computer in the classroom was like, whoa, you know, that's not, you couldn't expect that. And on top of that, we got to play around with cameras and stuff. You know, the main portion of that kind of line of study was photography, Photoshop, any other Adobe program, like, you know, video productions, and Adobe Premiere Pro, which I still use to edit my videos. And we did journalism, worked with InDesign, which is a skill I plan on taking up when I have more time to write up my patterns in a more professional looking format. They still read professionally, but they don't look more fancy than they need to. Right now I'm doing like a kind of time and appearance trade-off, so to speak. And we did audio productions and recordings, you know, radio programs, kind of pretending to do that anyway, and graphic design, definitely. So I did that for 3 years, whilst also getting ready for higher education. And at the end of those 3 years, I still had no idea what I wanted to do. So I did a year of graphic design, which I don't know if that advanced my skills more or not, because it was a kind of relaxed school, you know, you weren't graded or anything, you just kind of worked on it. And I guess I knitted a bit more than I did graphic design. Sounds familiar. So after that year of graphic design and a politics elective module, I went on to university, and I did a year of psychology. That was the first year of a bachelor degree, and or the first year of a clinical course if you could get in. But it is very difficult to get into clinical psychology in Norway, and during my time in that year they changed the criteria for how you would get in, and normally people were able to take 2 years to get into that course, and they changed it while I was there so that I could only use that 1 year. I'd like to have known that before, and the frustrating part was that the people that made that decision had themselves spent 2 years on getting in to where they were now, the clinical course and everything. So that was frustrating, and I did start the second year of the bachelor's degree that I then had to continue on to, and I felt so little motivated that I was like, I'm just gonna apply to this university in London. What? Why not? And I got in like maybe a few weeks before I was to start, and I had no place to live, but luckily they had this free accommodation for students, and so that was, you know, safe and reliable. So I just moved in, and I moved to London, and I was just gonna do this 1 year, but I didn't quite understand the grading systems. I thought I hadn't done that well. It turns out I had a first overall, and so I just stayed because I was like, I don't know if I can fit this into my second year psychology degree in Norway, because that was the plan. But I was like, well, instead of making this my second year, I would just pretend that was my first year and do another 2 years and have a bachelor's degree from London. So far so good, so I can do that. I did. And as I was about to wrap up, I didn't really know what to do next. I was trying to figure out what kind of master's degree to do, and I kept talking to various members of staff at my university, and this one man who I kept talking to was in the same kind of research area that I was interested in, and we kept talking about what master's degree to consider. And eventually I was like, well, do you want me to do a PhD at yours? Is that a thing you could do? And he was like, yeah. So we worked on this PhD proposal together, submitted that, and it was approved. Granted, I had to be self-funded, but that is totally fine if you're Norwegian, because you get funding from there. So it's just the same procedure as the bachelor's degree basically, and so I went straight from bachelor to PhD. And I'm still doing that PhD because they're not fast. And yeah, I might be my last year, and I might not be. I don't know. We'll see. It depends how well I do and a couple of other circumstances. But I did do some other work aside my bachelor's degree and PhD degree, because I had to make money elsewhere as well, because what you get from the Norwegian Student Fund is not enough to live in a major city. That's a debate I could share with you, but for now I think, yeah. So the jobs I had, first time around I had a summer job at the hospital cafeteria, which quite frankly I didn't really like. I felt like I was being kind of surveilled and judged, and I was really never left on my own and given any trust that I could just carry on with the job, which is frustrating if you are someone like me who definitely works better on their own. And as soon as I don't feel like anyone's looking at me and how I do the job, I do it really well. And as soon as I feel like someone is like observing me and going, are you using that tilt right? Are you cleaning those surfaces right? Are you making that sandwich right? And it's like, I get very clumsy and slow and feel awkward. So it's fine when I was just me and the customers and maybe people working elsewhere in the hospital, but yeah, that was uncomfortable for a number of reasons, and at the end of the day I had been asked specifically not to come back, and that was pretty hurtful. So that was a bit of a hard knock to kind of trying out a adult job for the first time, but I applied for the hospital again, and this time as a cleaner. And at first I felt a bit like I had been degraded, you know, from the kitchen to the cleaning unit, and that is so far from the case. I think it's a really underestimated job, to be honest. Like, nobody tells you this, but like relative to the cafeteria job and a couple of others, cleaning is really chill. Like, obviously I'm saying that working in the summer when the hospital is like under half, you know, half the hospital is down, you know, people are away for the summer holiday. Holidays are very important in Norway, and so it was pretty chill for that reason, that, you know, there wasn't that much actually to clean, and you could do the jobs that they didn't have time to do the rest of the year, you know, like cleaning ceiling lamps and what have you, and windows. And but yeah, I just liked that so much more because they just kind of gave me the trolley and off I went, and they trusted me to do the job, and so I did. And so I could interact with other hospital staff and patients, and often that was the most valuable part of that job, because for patients you might be the only person that they see that is not there for their health situation. You could be the only person that they can talk to about other things than their health. And so yeah, and I guess I should explain also that being a cleaner in a hospital in Norway is quite different than maybe being a cleaner elsewhere. You literally kind of ranked higher. I think it's a shame how we rank cleaners, but that's a side point. You're wearing the same stuff as the health staff, you know, the nurses and everything. You are greeted as an equal. You are, you know, seen as part of the workforce and a regular familiar face, and you know, you come into the hospital ward and they might offer you a cup of coffee while you're there. So it's really nice actually, and I got to work on my own in my own time with nobody hovering over me, so yeah, appreciated that. I don't know if I should mention this, but a part of cleaning at the hospital did involve cleaning out the morgue, the autopsy rooms. So I guess I have seen a thing or two, and I personally don't mind. It's part of life and death and humanity, and suppose I have a strong stomach for that kind of thing. And I think it's like been valuable in some strange way that I think, yeah, I don't know how to put words to that. It's just, that was just part of the workplace to clean after the dead. And so that's something I've done, and that was part of how I have funded my PhD. So I guess that's an argument for how I actually did want, or do want, to do my PhD. And just like, yeah, be able to afford living in London, basically. I had those jobs in Norway over the summer because the Norwegian Student Fund don't actually fund students over the summer. And I did that job I think for maybe 2 or 3 summers, I don't quite remember, but since then I have actually been able to support myself over the summer. I've had the odd job in knitting shops, but nothing regular. But now I'm actually able to just kind of take it a bit easy financial wise, because I have had some research grant, I do have my student funding, and there is a bit of part-time revenue, so overall a bit more of a stay-at-home PhD student now. So I thought you might find that interesting to kind of know my background, a bit of media and communication, graphic design, academia, psychology, research, and the odd cleaning job. Så tenner vi et lys I kveld. Vi tenner det for glede. Det står og skinner for seg selv, og oss som til stede. Så tenner vi et lys I kveld. Vi tenner det for glede.